This one, guys, is what you call over-tourism.
Is Japan really ruined by over-tourism? For the past 2 years, everybody is talking about this issue all over social media.
Cities in Japan are scrambling to manage an unprecedented influx of tourists.
The number of overseas visitors to Japan has hit an all-time high, over 36 million last year.
Is this a real issue that Japan is facing, or is an exaggeration? I just spent 2 weeks as a tourist in Japan, and I visited the places that most tourists do: Tokyo, Mount Fuji, Osaka, Kyoto and Nara. In this video in particular, we're gonna visit two of the most popular places of Japan, which are Kyoto and Nara. And especially Kyoto is the place that is all over the news about over-tourism.
Kyoto is one of the world's most popular travel destinations.
I'm not really used to seeing tourism like this. It's huge. You have to admit that it doesn't really feel like you're immersed in a very traditional culture.
I didn't come to Japan to make videos or to make some sort of like reportage, which I do sometimes in other countries. It was mainly a holiday for me, but while exploring the country and discovering Japan, I also kept an eye open and observed if Japan is really struggling with over-tourism or not. So while we walk around Nara and Kyoto today, I will show you how is the current situation in Japan, and by the end of this video, I will give you my honest opinion and I will answer the question: is Japan really ruined by over-tourism? Let's begin. Today we're gonna visit Kyoto. It's only like 20 minutes from Osaka, super near. But before we start visiting Kyoto, which seems to be the main issue with over-tourism, let's talk quickly about the other popular location that I visited in Japan. First of all, Tokyo, the capital, 37 million people, so huge city. The only place in Tokyo where I was very overwhelmed with over-tourism was the Sensoji Temple. So this is the Sensoji Temple, and it's the biggest temple in Tokyo, also the oldest one, and it's a Buddhist temple. The amount of people, it's unbelievable. That's the only place in Tokyo that I really didn't like in terms of like over-tourism.
Yusuke is a tour guide in Tokyo. Today he's accompanying two French visitors to a famous temple. They're not alone. The capital is packed with tourists from all over the world.
I'm not really used to seeing tourism like this. It's huge.
Then you have the other popular places like Shibuya or Shinjuku. They're also very touristic, but I would say that it's part of the experience because it's already a very chaotic area full of like people, lights, restaurants, shops, neon signs. So I would say it's part of the Tokyo experience, the Shinjuku and the Shibuya. Also the Shibuya crossing, for example, it's kind of part of the Tokyo experience to have so many people around you. Then you have Mount Fuji, just a short distance from Tokyo, like about 1 hour and a half, 2 hours. This place is, as of today, my favorite place in Japan because I really love Mount Fuji. The only places where you can feel the mass tourism around Fuji is the Lawson supermarket, which became very popular on social media, so everybody goes there to take picture. And then the second one is the Chureito Pagoda, because that's, in my opinion and in the opinion of millions of people, the best picture that represents Japan, because you have this beautiful pagoda, cherry trees all around, and behind the incredible Mount Fuji. So it makes sense that many tourists come here to take a picture because it's a very beautiful spot. Other than that, I found the Fuji area extremely pleasant, not so crowded, like very enjoyable, and I don't think has been like ruined by mass tourism. Then I went to Osaka, another big and major city in Japan. Honestly, also there I was not negatively impacted by the amount of tourists. Of course, there are many tourists in Osaka, but because the city is quite big, you have like 2.7 million people living there, you don't really feel it. The only place where you can really feel it is probably Dotonbori, which is the most famous place, and there you have a lot of people and a lot of things going on, lights and restaurants and shops and everything. But other than that, all the other places, they were pretty normal and pretty chill. So I cannot say that Osaka has been impacted by over-tourism, at least in my opinion. And let's go now to Kyoto, which is just 30 minutes miles away from Osaka, and this seems to be the main issue about over-tourism in Japan.
For years, some locals complained about over-tourism, where there were just too many people crowding the hotspots and the streets of Kyoto.
So we made it to Kyoto, and the first attraction is the Fushimi Inari Taisha, which is the main attraction here in Kyoto. It's a beautiful shrine on a hill.
To be honest, this temple is incredible and I was very excited to see it. But for me, it was not enjoyable at all. Overcrowded, everybody taking pictures and selfies and everybody talking loudly and laughing. Coming to this temple was just the perfect example to see how mass tourism can ruin a sacred place.
So this one is called Senbon Tori, which is the famous 1000 Tori gates. So now we are here, Okusha Shrine, and we'll go all the way up to Mount Inari.
While doing some research on the web and on YouTube, I found this channel that is super interesting. He's Japanese and he interviews a lot of Japanese people asking the opinions, how they feel. I'll put the link of his video in the description down below, but let's hear together what the local people of Kyoto has to say about tourists.
As far as I know, over-tourism is getting a huge problem in this city, so I'm gonna hit on the street, ask locals, what do you think about tourists?
の伝統的な文化が広まることはいいなと思うんですけど、結構道が歩きづらかったりとか、そういう私生活での不便なことが多いので、そこは改善してほしいな。
どうかしはるっていうわけでもないんやし、やっぱりたくさん来てくれはったらええと思いますよ。京都はこんだけの人間しかって、いろんな京都の良さを知ってもらえていいと思いますけど。
方々が来るんで、僕的にはすごい嬉しいですし、僕的に国際交流とかすごく興味持ってるんで。
So it seems like the local people are not really bothered by this mass tourism. Probably the people that are the most bothered are us, the tourists that come here and we expect like a local experience and immersion into the culture, but we are just surrounded by tourists from all over the world. But I'll tell you the reason why later in this video, why the locals are not really bothered. Then we went to Sannenzaka district, which is another very popular place here in Kyoto. It's like a pedestrian area and the situation got even worse.
First impression of Kyoto.
This is a tourist place. Yeah, nice. For me, it's too much of tourists.
Too much tourists.
Too much crowd.
There are too many tourists in Kyoto. It's a beautiful place, but you cannot feel it because there are just too many tourists.
The temple.
Yeah, also the temple is amazing, the one we've been before, but you cannot feel anything because it's just too many people. But it's a beautiful place. How can you enjoy something like this? Impossible.
一応部分的に集中することが多いので、もう少し分散するようにすればいいのかな。やっぱり嵐山とか東山、お稲荷さんとかですかね。この辺り一番集中しますから。
僕も今京都何日間かいてみて一点集中してるですね。
伏見稲荷とか東山とか嵐山は。
And to be honest, have the same opinion and the same feeling as of this gentleman that they just interviewed. Because coming here to Kyoto, I realized that the entire city is not really impacted by over-tourism. Just some specific areas, in particular just some specific touristic places. So the tourists, including myself in this case, they just go to the same temple, to the same roads, to the same restaurants, to the same attractions, they take the same picture, they follow the same routes, and after that they take their train and they go back to Osaka or they stay a few days in Kyoto, but they don't really impact the entire city. It's same for me in Italy. Of course, if I go to Rome and I go around the Colosseum, I would be completely overwhelmed by mass tourism. But if you avoid the Colosseum in Rome and a few other touristic places, then you can live a normal life. Same as you go to Florence, for example, or Venice, or Milan, or any other major cities in Europe or around the world.
To eat?
No,
Ah.
That's why I think the locals of Kyoto are kind of cool with all the tourism, because we don't go all over Kyoto, but we just go to some specific areas, and they can simply avoid those areas and live their normal life. But at the same time, this mass tourism brings a lot of money to the people of Kyoto, a lot of jobs as well, and it definitely has a positive impact to the local economy.
Overseas visitors to Japan has hit an all-time high, and they are dropping money. Their total spending in 2024 surpassed $51 billion. And not surprisingly, Japan's government is pushing for more.
お客さんが増えるので、いいと思ってるんですけど。
Kyoto is actually a very pretty city and it's quite big as well. So today we just visited the touristic places and the touristic spots are obviously like super packed.
I want to come back again one day and maybe spend a few days in Kyoto and kind of feel the place, avoid the major tourist places and try to connect more to the place.
I wish we had like more days to really explore outside of the tourist spots because I think it has a lot to offer.
And then while researching on YouTube, I also found this photographer, which is super interesting what he does.
Today we follow celebrated British photographer Martin Parr, who has been documenting mass tourism for decades, and explore how he frames tourist behavior in this day and age.
Vivid color, satire, irreverent humor are the hallmarks of his work. These iconic images show the excess of global mass tourism. They reveal the gap between dreamy travel ideals and crowded commercialized destinations. Parr hit the streets of Kyoto to continue this project in a city burdened with over-tourism. For over 40 years, he's been documenting the obsessive nature of tourism by picturing tourism itself.
This video of Martin Parr really made me reflect a lot because I'm thinking like really what is happening to the tourism? I mean, it's increasing year after year, but somehow we're all doing the same things, we all take the same pictures, especially since we all have smartphones in our hand. So it's interesting to observe this phenomenon.
The doors on the left will open. 出入り口は広く開けて、大人
So today we came to Nara, which is just 30 minutes from Osaka, and Nara was the capital of Japan from 710 to 784 during the Nara period, and it's beautiful because it's completely immersed in nature. You have the famous Nara Park, and just right here behind me there are the famous deers, so people come here to cuddle and stay with the deers, which are considered sacred animals.
And honestly, I had a really great time in Nara. It's also touristic if you go to some specific areas, for example the park where you have the deers. Or if you go to the main temple. But in general, the area is very big, it's very large, there is a lot of space, so you can just walk around in nature and have a great time. And you can definitely connect to the place much more compared to Kyoto. So I have to say that even though Nara is a very popular place among tourists, it's nothing compared to Kyoto. It's way more enjoyable. At least for me, that was my personal experience.
So it's 200 yen to feed the deer.
So we made it to the end of the video, guys, and it's time to answer the final question and the title of this video as well. Is Japan ruined by mass tourism? Is Japan ruined by over-tourism? So it's a tough question to answer because my general answer would be no, but also yes in some specific situations. So overall, with the globalization, like people are traveling more than ever compared to 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago. We are traveling much more. The entire world is connected more than ever. Thanks to the web and thanks to social media and platforms like YouTube, we can see other people traveling. We can learn more about the world. We can get inspired by seeing where we want to go. If you think about it, until like few years ago, going to Japan was something extremely rare, extremely unique. Oh wow, you're going to Japan. It's like a trip of a lifetime. And not many people could afford to go to Japan as well. Now I feel it's becoming way more accessible. More and more people are able to travel and more people desire to visit Japan. And nowadays there are people that came to Japan 3 times, 5 times, 10 times because they love it so much. So I feel like the entire world is becoming more accessible. Traveling in general is becoming more accessible. And I personally believe that this trend is gonna continue over the years. So we're gonna have more and more tourists in the coming year, especially in Asia, because Asia now is trendy. Not only Japan, but also China is slowly becoming trendy and is opening up more to tourism. And then of course, if you think about Southeast Asia like Thailand, Vietnam, those places are exploding with mass tourism. So it's very interesting to observe the trend and to kind of see how things are kind of unfolding over the years in the tourist space. But for Japan in particular, I completely understand why millions and millions of people want to visit each year, because the place is amazing, is very unique, the culture is very unique, the tradition is very unique, the food is incredible. The Japanese way of living is very fascinating for all of us around the world, and that's why it totally makes sense that more and more people are coming here. So is Japan ruined by over-tourism? In some areas, definitely yes, for example, as we said in Kyoto, but we can argue that the entire world is slowly getting ruined by over-tourism because this trend is growing very, very fast. So that's my personal opinion, and I would love to know and I would love to hear your opinion as well. So please leave a comment down below, and I would love to hear what do you think about Japan. Is it ruined by mass tourism? Is it okay? And share your thoughts also about the tourism all over the world. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is my last video from Japan. I'm really glad that I came to visit Japan. Honestly, the Mount Fuji area still remains my favorite area so far, but I still have so much to explore, so I will definitely come back to see more of Japan. But in the next video, I'm gonna be already in a new country, so stay tuned for that. Alright, bye bye.